This is Chiming In with Elyse and David. So, halfway through the reels for the month. How's that going?
It's going. Some days I have an idea of what I want to say, and some days I clearly do not. No, I hope they're. I don't even know. I am doing them daily, so it has become part of my workflow for this month. And whatever kind of comes into my mind, or things that I've sometimes thought about for years, while other things I've thought about, that day, or noticed something, or both. Usually it's kind of a combination of both that I don't know, just sharing a little something. And I don't have any expectation on the other side, so just posting away. But there's been quite a bit of great feedback, I guess, on some more than others. But
Well, I look forward to it every day.
you do,
I do.
because you never hear anything from me.
No, you're very
Normally.
quiet during the day,
Yeah.
except for those reels.
I never tell you anything I'm thinking. You get only the information like everyone else.
No,
in
I
real
get
time.
like 200 reels a day.
Oh my God, that would be so annoying.
Maybe
if
I
I did
should
that
just
to you.
record you. I'll walk around the house with my phone and just record you, and then post all the reels for
That
the day.
can be like the 2026 version of a sticky note.
Oh my gosh, that is great! And I could just
I'm
watch
going to
them
send
over
you
and over
private reels. Be like, David, this is how we wash the dishes.
I already know how to wash the dishes now. We've already talked about that.
No, I think I might. I think I have done that before. Like
Oh,
step one.
You definitely have. You definitely. I think I've saved them.
Oh God. Or like the Tupperware drawers organized, and I have a big note inside that says, "Please note.
Yes, I love your notes.
Thank you, the management."
Yes, the management. I really liked your reel on assumptions, mainly because you did it at night, and there was a beautiful glow around the room when you did that.
Yeah, that was unintentional because the day went by and I didn't make a reel. It's like shit.
Well, I think it was great, and I was laying in bed, and I'm like, oh, she did a reel today. This
Next
is
time
great.
I'll go in the closet with a flashlight.
There you
That's
go.
kind of what it looked like. Did you like the content of that reel?
Yes, it was about assumptions that people make sometimes when they're having conversations, where they assume the answer to the question before they actually get an answer. And I thought it was really poignant.
Yes. So an example of that is when someone says, "Hey, how's everything going? Kids good? Everybody good?" So they ask you maybe, and then they answer their own question because it's not really meant for conversation.
No, there's definitely one answer, and that is yes.
Yeah.
And then let's talk about something else.
Yeah, it kind of manipulates the conversation into not having one.
Right.
And a lot of times that is necessary. It might just be like a passing, like greeting, hello. But I don't know, it kind of rubs a little bit. My suggestion in the reel was maybe try to nix that. It's not even necessary. Just say hi.
Yes, great advice.
You know.
Or how are your kids?
If you have a minute, ask, yeah. But, yeah.
So do you think it's just people being polite, and they'd say, well, I have to hit this note, I have to
I
ask
think
this
it
question?
is a little bit of this sort of, I don't know, like, small talk 101 or something, where it's like you start with something nice, then say what you want, then say something nice. It's like, I don't know. I don't think it's particularly authentic. I don't think it's particularly effective. I don't know. I think that
you know what I do sometimes is I will answer the question with no, kids are not good, and then I tell them horrible stories.
Great. You've never done that.
And they never ask that question again.
No, but, we were chatting about this the other day, and you made a good point about it reminded you in law school how in the discussion of leading a witness, and how the question is not even allowed
to be asked open-ended. Yes. Yeah, so when you are asking a question of the opposing witness, the person who's kind of against you, right? Somebody who you're trying to tell the judge something that's going to be devastating to whatever they're being asked. You ask in a leading way. So you say, "Isn't it true that this happened? Isn't it true that you're holding the gun or whatever it is?" So that the answer is designed to be yes, and they don't have an opportunity to fill in with a lot of other words what their explanation is. So in a way, it is a manipulative way of having a conversation with someone, to manipulate them into saying yes or no to a question. And when you have your own witness, it's going to be an open-ended question. In fact, you're not even allowed to ask leading questions. You ask the question, "All right, so what did you do that morning?" And then the person has to answer in an open-ended way. And that is designed
So it's more authentic. So there's truth
yes,
only on their own accord, right? Right? So
yes,
you don't get to manipulate it in any way.
exactly. That is the point of leading questions and the point of open-ended questions.
Right. So I thought that was a really interesting take that your legal ear hears all the time, and I do not, but yet that is how it lands on my ear in real life, like just those, assumption leading questions don't allow for my real self to be seen, and so it puts a damper really on whatever is in front of me. If it's a friendship, it kind of puts a little bit of like you're not really interested, are you?
Right.
And if it's just a work situation, it's like, okay, we don't have time for all this anyway, so why even have started that? I like to think of myself as a leader, and I've been a boss, and I've been all these things. So if I want my people around me to rise up and be their best worker bee self or whatever, I need to empower them. So I would never want them to feel like I don't have time or slighted. So I'm not even going to go there. That type of phrasing is never coming out of my mouth, because I want them to feel seen and feel like they're very valuable to me.
Right.
Right. So it's just I don't know, just a little tweak I threw out there in the reel.
Well, I thought it was spot on.
Thanks. Let's pivot this to talk today about identity and what that looks like, what that means, and why, as we're getting older and older, it seems like there's an identity crisis amongst people in their midlife, let's say, midlife-ish, and how we can maybe move through with that with grace.
I think it's a really great topic to talk about. What are you talking about as far as identity? What are you referring to exactly?
Well, I know that society thinks identity, or suggests identity, has mostly to do with what we do for a living, our credentials, somehow that informs us of somehow who a person is. That's on paper how that looks, I think. I don't particularly subscribe to that, as you guys probably know, and you know for sure. I think that who a person is, their values and how they show up and how I feel when I'm around them, and how they maybe make a contribution to me or themselves or society. Or I think that can look like a job or a volunteer position, but it's not really who you are. So it's two different things, but I was speaking today in my mind about what most people think of when you think of identity, which is jobs and school and stuff like that.
And when you say this, I think about going into a room full of people I don't know, like at a gathering or a party, and one of the first things that comes up is, what do you do? That's literally the first question.
Well, they
So, what
would
do you
say
do for
that.
a living?
I think they say that to you because you are a man.
Ah, so what do they say to you?
Nothing. Uh, um, kids good? No, I'm just kidding. I think that it could be anybody, not just people that don't know you, though.
Mm.
Like when you're standing with your group of friends, I feel like that's one of the first thing that comes up. And I know, honestly, I really wasn't thinking this is so gendered, but or stereotyped, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's the right politically correct way to say all of this. However, no harm meant by this conversation, obviously. And I have been standing with groups of my male friends, and they will talk to each other about each other's work and jobs. And I always think it's going to come circling to me, no
Mm-hmm.
matter what my job is. I could own a business. I could be, a writer. I could be a photographer. I could be a gym owner. I mean, I could be a million things over all the decades, and they don't ask me in the same way that they
Mm.
talk to each other. So it's definitely a little something I have observed, I would say. I don't really know where I was going with that. I don't know that it has to be strangers. It is
Mm.
definitely a topic, and I would say that it's probably very commonplace amongst the men folk.
Well,
And
what about the women folk? I mean, when you're around your women folk friends, is there a discussion of what people are doing as far as a job goes?
I would say no. I actually don't. It comes up less. It's more how we're handling life in general.
Hmm.
Because our life, if you have kids, once you have kids, you're always that's always part of your identity,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Parenthood, motherhood. So, and the expectation is that you're handling that in either addition to an out of the home job,
Mm-hmm.
or in or that's all you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it just depends on the people I'm with. If I know for sure the other person has an out of the home work, we usually talk about it as well. But if only one of us works outside of the home, it doesn't always come up.
Mm.
I've really been thinking about this a lot, especially again for women. I think we go through our early years as kids and school, and everyone is going through it, an equal playing field,
Mm-hmm.
let's say. So everyone's trying to get to college. Everyone's trying to decide who they want to be when they grow up, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same. And whether or not you choose that route, that's step one into kind of a traditional line of a traditional path or not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then, depending on your goals, if you want a family, you are now a woman, gone to college, pursuing a career, and now you are supposed to have identity crisis number one, where you're becoming a mother,
Mm.
and in your body, usually, not always, obviously, often. So all bets are off, right? How this is going to play into your identity right before then, or the one that you'd been working for all those years,
Mm-hmm.
is now either on hold or has to split attention with your new family,
Mm-hmm.
or your spouse, or everybody. And so it's like you get fragmented. And so a lot of people I know put their careers on hold, or it's only a portion of their day.
Mm.
And that's fine. But identity wise, that split is what I'm talking about. And that's
Mm-hmm.
what people see when they see, a female adult who's of parenting age, right?
Mm-hmm.
Often. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then now in midlife, let's call it, could be 40 and on, let's say, kids don't need you as much in all the ways they might have in the beginning. And so you start to all of a sudden see this sort of light at the end of a tunnel where what is on the other side? And does that mean you go back?
Right.
To what you
Or
were
has your
doing?
identity been wrapped up so much in that life that now kids are out of the house and all of a sudden you're like, what do you do next? What is going to be your
Which way
next
do you
adventure?
go?
Right.
And you're in this dark tunnel
Mm-hmm.
and there's light on both sides and you don't know whether you're supposed to go backwards or forwards.
Mm.
And what is there for you? And do you even want it? What you thought you were going to do? And not all of us can. I mean, I was a dancer before family, so there was no chance that I was. There are some people who do this. I admit, but
Superhumans.
basically, in my version of this, and in so many, that's hanging up the point shoe time, and so, or it's at least short lived on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
So again, how many transitions in life are there? So many, and no one is to suggest that wasn't always supposed to be the way it can be. But I have no problem reinventing myself and having lots of things that I'm drawn to and want to learn about. I make them my literal business to learn.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've a couple of times over now made them into businesses. So I don't have a standstill for myself, but I will say almost everywhere I look, there's confusion.
I wonder if women in that situation, feel like they can't get back on the horse, like they can't get back into that industry that they were in before, or they're not willing to try a new profession or something that they've never done before because they're not experts at it. They never had experience with that, or they're scared, they're worried, or what if I don't like it? Like,
I think if it's going to tie into money, like an actual job money, I think that it seems to put a kibosh in there in a lot of times in your mind. If you don't have a way back in the quote workforce, whatever that was, because there's so many options, it doesn't always feel possible or doable. Yes, we have lots of friends that are dabbling in lots of a variety of hobbies. And
or volunteer work, right? They'll
exactly.
volunteer and do things for the community instead of
Exactly.
that. Yeah.
Which is amazing and so needed. And there's absolutely, this is, what an honor, basically, right? And we're, the communities are across, probably the world are better for it. How that registers inside that person on, a level of whether they're feeling like they're whole or have an identity. I mean, again, we just started this with the whole idea like, hey, what do you do? What do you do for a living? And women aren't necessarily being asked that. What happens on the other side when somebody is done, quote, raising their kids and you don't have all of that to talk about anymore? And you're standing in that same party and, what is the conversation then?
Or a man that's retired, right? Same situation. Now it's about, well, what did you do? And so, who are you when you were working?
I think about this sometimes when I read obituaries. Some of them are so, like, it's such a resume. And then some of them talk about the beauty and kindness of the person and never met a stranger, and these kinds of lines that are interjected in between where they went to school or what program they started up at their church or whatever. So it's so important to remember, I think, the whole person, the in our living lives, the whole person. And that's what my goal is, to share that whenever I can. It's not just about, how many friends do we know, females especially, that are, lawyers by trade who haven't practiced in decades potentially. And
wherever.
right. Learned the craft, learned the trade, learned the profession, and didn't pursue it. How many kids are doing that these days?
Mm.
So is that your identity? Is that it? Where does that leave you?
Some of my favorite conversations are with people that do not ask me anything about what I do for a living, but ask me questions about what I do in my spare time.
Mm-hmm.
What do I do for fun? What do I do um, when when I'm not working? So those are the types of questions that I like to ask other people too, because I think it really gets at the heart of what a person is after in life if we talk about what they're doing when they have free time.
When you talk to me when you talk to a person about their job or career or profession, it's a lot more like black and white. Not everybody likes their work. Some people do, some people don't. I'm thinking right now as you're talking that when you start to tap into things outside of work that people either like to do or have to do, that may be a little bit of an out of their comfort zone to discuss right off the bat.
Mm.
And not you have so many, passion projects and hobbies, so it's really curious, and you want somebody to be curious about that so that you can talk about all your special interests. But if another person doesn't really feel that same way or have the same kind of give themselves permission to dabble in other things, that may be harder for someone to respond to that. So
I can usually find it though, even if they're not doing it now. Like for instance, I'm thinking of one person that I talked to, and they were really into playing guitar when they were younger, and they hadn't really been playing as an adult. And I believe they've told me that me asking them about it got them thinking about picking up the guitar again and playing it. So I feel like that sometimes happens where you'll bring up something and it gets people thinking about the things that they used to do that maybe they want to do again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is interesting. I don't know. It's the whole conversation is making my mind kind of swirling. I mean, I can't. So many people ask me all the time, "Am I still dancing?"
Hmm.
Yeah,
Say it in the kitchen.
yeah, and that I wish I could say yes. It's almost it's so like it's like a dagger. It's like and then it also makes me fully aware that they probably don't know what a real professional dancer even does.
Mm.
And that harkens back when I used to tell people that's what I did for a living, that the number one question was,
Where do you dance?
no.
Oh.
I guess it's been a long time. You forgot. The number one question was,
which club do you dance at?
oh, Jesus. Well, yes, sometimes that was the next question. No, the actual next question is, oh, yeah, but what do you do? Like, what else do you
what
do?
do you do for a living?
Because they couldn't even fathom that I might actually be making a living by dancing. Is just literally the next thing out of so many people's mouth. So then the irony is that now people still say, well, are you still dancing? Like it's just something you could do forever.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a tricky thing. And you're like, oh my God, I don't even know where to go with that. Because if you really think about it, there's so few people that would, quote, still be dancing
right
at this age or in the way that we used to. And it's just two very different things.
Sure.
And so then you're like, do we explain this to this person? Do we not explain it? And, and I don't know what a lot of people do for a living either, but because of the way it always felt to be on the receiving end of someone being clueless, I always say, I don't really know what that means, what you do. Like, can you walk me through? Like, okay, so you go to work, it's 9:00.
That's
what
right.
happens
You
next?
bring a briefcase. What's in your briefcase?
Yeah, no, I've literally asked that the person, what, and then what,
Right.
and then what? And what kind of meeting? What does that mean? What do you have to think about? What does that look like? And I mean, because I don't know what, certain professions are clear and some aren't.
That's right. Yeah, I'll never forget being in law school and our professor telling us, you all have no idea what you're about to do. Like you're going to learn how to be lawyers, but you really don't have any clue as to what you're going to be doing on a daily basis. And boy, was he right, because I would never have imagined what exactly we're doing on a daily basis till we get into it. And that makes me think, how is it that we even decide what we're going to do? Like, I think about our kids, and they're at the age now where they're trying to decide what they're going to do in their lives. And I admire you so much because you have changed your profession so many times. You know, you were a professional ballet dancer, and then you became a Pilates studio teacher, and then an owner of a Pilates studio. And then you were a professional photographer, and now a novelist.
That, thanks. That when I was a photographer, I remember I told you how excited I was to be able to, somebody to say, what do you do? And I get to say photographer, and they're going to know what that means. Because I was a dancer, and I just explained how no one knew what that meant. And then I was Pilates, and nobody knew what that meant.
Pilots?
Oh
Is
my
that how you
God.
say it?
That's like yoga. Yeah, so it was literally nobody back at the time knew what that was. Of course, everyone does now, but no one did. So when I chose photography and opened that business, I was so excited that somebody would actually know what that meant, at least. But of course, it never really worked out that way
But
either.
I think reinventing yourself is really a key here. Like, can you pursue a new path when you're not thrilled with the one you're on? Like, is that something that people can actually do? And you've done it.
Yeah, I was thrilled with the one I was on. I just decided something else was more interesting at that moment. And I don't know. I think I had a lot of, I guess if you have a need to be like expressive and creative, there's really no end to what that might look like. I don't know. I feel like sometimes I'm so excited about like interior design. Like, what does that mean? What do I have to do that? What do I have to go do that? And I'll Google it and, end up just doing it for myself. But
Hang out on Pinterest a lot.
oh, so good. Pinterest
you
porn.
You love that Pinterest.
Oh, it's good. It's good. It really is good. But I think, how do you reconcile when, your life does not include a paying job? What is the answer to who you are and your identity? And it probably leaves a lot of people feeling less than, maybe, or confused, both on how to communicate to someone else, like on a social level, as well as truly confused on who am I if I'm not this. I was just talking to a friend and client this morning about this, and her word was, it's confusing. Raising kids. She's raised 4 kids. Their last one's about to graduate out of the house, whether there's professions or not going on within them. She knows that her need as a mother is not going to be so every day in your face, not going to be the same. You can't think of a word for me. We have to sit here and stare at each other.
Level of attention.
Thank you. So I feel like, so she's a perfect example of so many people. Now what?
So what did you tell her? Any advice that you gave her?
No, because I was training her in Pilates. So we just kept going. But I think...
You said, now do the 100 and stop talking.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that it is... I think that everyone... I think if she and people, all of us, can just get curious and decide what is interesting to you. It doesn't have to be interesting to another person, but it might be. And you might have a whole community, and you won't know that unless you ask, what else do you do besides, your job? So you might realize that, there's a whole plethora of people who enjoy needlepoint, or I know mahjong's the latest craze. That, or maybe it already
People love that mahjong, don't they?
I guess it always has been in some ways, but yeah, it's now getting younger and younger on the game list. It seems like no, but like we have a bestie that is playing mahjong now all the time, and constantly watercolor painting in her newfound time, and she does tons of volunteer work, and it doesn't have to look like she doesn't have to go start working again she did and she has, but she doesn't have to start go working again in a in a company or writing grants or whatever if you're an accountant, you don't have to go back to exactly what you thought all those years before you were supposed to. The trick is not to shame yourself because you didn't. And I'm seeing that across the board. I think that's the key. I think my client this morning, I think there's a little, if you don't know what's next, does that equal a feeling of guilt or shame? And if you kind of gave up a part of yourself to, quote, sacrifice, yourself so that you could raise your family in a certain way, like not everybody can do that. Not everybody wants to do that. Some people have to get out of the house and go work, or they're going to kill their kid. I mean, everyone has a different story, and all of them are good. It's okay. Whatever your story is your story. The person you were before that, again, especially on the, growing up, like you said, we have our kids who are trying to sort through this right now. Some have gone to college, some haven't, some aren't sure what to do next. It doesn't, you don't have to commit to it. I mean, that's, at the end of the day, even if you think you're going to do something, it doesn't have to be what you end up doing. And you get to play and dabble in all sorts of things. It's not supposed to just have one track and one look.
I definitely think there's a difference now than there was before. I felt like when I was growing up, there was a definite trajectory for everybody. You go to school, you go to college, hopefully you go to some sort of graduate school, and then you get in the work field, and then you have a profession, and that's it. And I feel like now there are so many more opportunities for people to do really anything. I mean, with the technology now, people can start their own businesses. Our kids are doing Uber Eats. They're going around driving and picking up food for people. Like, it's crazy what people are doing now. Like,
yes, Suzanne, I like to see you DoorDash.
Exactly.
I mean, you're right. You're right there. There's the world. I'm not going to say it again, but there's something for everyone. And no one track is the only way. And I grew up knowing I wanted to be a dancer. Under every circumstance, I was going to dance, even when everyone said,
Nobody
no,
was
you're
going
not.
to stop you.
No one was going to stop me. Nothing was going to stop me. The end. And that was literally my thought. So as I got to be a mom and saw other people and met other people outside of the dance world, I was like, they didn't necessarily know what they wanted to do, or their kids are going to college with no clue, or my kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? No clue. Huh? I just personally had a different life, and it's not better. It just was. And so if I didn't have to know ahead of time, if I didn't have to make any decision, it was already, that decision was made when I was 5. The end. 5 years old, dancing, period, goodbye. Get out of my way.
What is that quote that you always tell me? Like, what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail?
Yeah, we mentioned it on here once. Yeah.
Right. I love that because it really makes you think about the fact that if you have a desire to do something and it's going to make you happy, nobody can stop you if you just take the steps to do it.
Right. And it could be anything. Yeah. I mean, I I have definitely joked about this a lot over the years, like, wanting to wear that sweater that says, kids are good, stop asking. There's more to me than the four of them or whatever. David's fine. We've talked about this on here, I think. Like, there's definitely this feeling of like tapping in just another level down and going in. I mean, we have a friend that we met her as an artist who was really excellent at refinishing furniture and a painter and so on. This girl has reinvented herself so many times. She's now like freaking making like healthy teas and lotions and potions and she's an interior designer. She is you name it. If she thinks about it, she's going to go and sort out a way to make something happen. At first, it's not a business, but it usually evolves into one because she's so passionate and so interested in it. That's all it is. And if you need to turn it into a living, that's fine too. I had an interesting conversation the other day with someone, and she said, it's interesting that she made an assumption, bless her heart, I love her so dearly, and the assumption was, I bet it's really interesting to teach Pilates now when you're just doing it more for fun, whereas back when you opened the business and became an instructor, you probably you did it so because you needed to make a living. And that statement was not true, actually, right?
Right.
Like, it was a choice to open that studio, and it was a choice to go get certified in something that no one knew what it was and called it the wrong name. It was a choice, and it just happened to be a choice for us, okay? And so this is and if anything, it's the other way around. I want some cash, baby. But it's just really interesting. Perception, perspective, assumptions. It all kind of falls into this umbrella of like the art of conversation, 2.0. It's
Right.
like really just
I think we're going to talk
open.
about this a lot, conversations with people, and
Yeah.
it's just so such an important part of
It's
everybody's
rich.
lives.
It is. I mean, we're humaning, right? So how do we relate to each other, and how can we better the person in front of me? How can my presence bring joy or bring kindness or acceptance to this person in front of me? Like you always say, I mean, we have to get curious and offer a placeholder for the other person to feel like they can become who they're supposed to be.
So true. So are you enjoying watching Downton Abbey?
Why are you talking about this?
I have a reason.
Okay.
So you can tell me, are you
I
enjoying it?
am. Yes. I mean, how many years late to the game am I?
What I love about what we're talking about and Downton Abbey is how much identity is wrapped up in those characters, not only for the people who are working downstairs that are taking care of the
Service.
the service people, but also the people who are being taken care of, and how their identity is wrapped up in being who they are, and they don't always like it. They're like, you know what? I don't really have the guy, the head of the house is like, I don't really have a role here. And the girls, the children, they want to go learn how to cook, and they want to do other things, and they don't want to be pigeonholed into a life that they're going to be bored in their lives. So it's just another example of art imitating life.
Well, it's an example of how far we've come. It's evolution. And it really is part of when I was talking earlier about the trajectory of a female, especially, and what we used to be and where we are now. And, the quote unquote problem didn't exist in the olden days. It wasn't lost on me that this is a fresh enough issue in the grand scheme of life. So that does play onto that, the old ways. Absolutely. It is fascinating to think through what life would be like if every part of it was already predetermined.
Right.
So here we live a life where think for the most of us, it's really not predetermined.
That is true.
And you get to pick and reinvent all day long.
If you let yourself.
Yeah, there's no one is standing over you judging that except you.
Absolutely.
So enough of that. Loosen the corset.
That's right. And thank you all so much for listening again. If you'd like to tell us something or email us or give us an idea of something,
We
call
love
us,
our messages.
write us
You
at
guys are the best.
chimingin911.com.
No, chimingin911 at gmail.com.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, I got that wrong.
Yeah. It's just one of the many things.
No, I usually get things right.
You're doing okay.
All right, we'll see you next time.
Nobody's seeing anybody.
It's just what I say.
Sometime we'll do this on YouTube.
Oh, that's right. They can see us squirming around in our chairs.